Okay, I was actually talked about the loss that Cleveland had last night against the Atlanta Hawks, and by a count of 114 to 100. It was a pathetic loss, especially considering the fact that Atlanta Hawks rested their starters. Um, but you know what, man? I'm now just convinced after witnessing them step it up against Boston and like, I'm convinced now that Cleveland does indeed just plays to level their competition, but it's just to the point now where it's embarrassing. And I don't really respect this team. I'm sorry. I know, like, I got some people who are LeBron fans and Cavalier fans, really, that subscribe to me. Khalil Burton is one of them. I like him. But I don't mean any disrespect to any Cleveland fan. What I'm saying is, but I don't like a team that plays like this. Like, it's not fun to watch a team not give its best effort, at least generally, night in and night out. I get sometimes you get a little bored playing the cellar dweller teams, man, but fans pay a lot of good money to watch a great team. They don't want to watch a bunch of goddamn lackadaisical players who don't want to play defense, don't trying to get the individual numbers. Because that's what it sometimes seems like with this team. They're only concerned about getting their individual numbers. They don't really care sometimes if they lose. They only care if they lose to the marquee teams. That bothers them. But losing to the Atlanta Hawks or the Orlando Magic, it doesn't really bother them too much, But when they play against the great teams in the NBA, the Spurs or the Warriors, and they lose, then they need help. Then they need playmakers. And I had a running joke the other day with a friend of mine, man. It's like it was like a running gag where it was a sketch where LeBron constantly said, he needed something after whatever he requested was given to him, but they still lost. Like, we need some playmakers. And then they lose. They were like, we need some rebounders. And then it gets some great rebounds. They still lose. It'd be like, we need some bitch players. And they still lose. And they'd be like, we need tax reform or something like that, because they're distracted from on-court play because their taxes are just too, it got more and more ridiculous. Like, their taxes were taken away from their on-court play. You get it, right? It's just a running joke, man. It's just ridiculous, man. But I'm not totally, at the same time, all that deeply concerned about Cleveland because, you look at the Eastern Conference, man. I constantly have people tell me shit like, man, the Eastern Conference now is stronger than it was in the 90s. And I'd be like, man, are you out of your mind? Are you out of your mind? Now, it'd be one thing if it was parity, like a lot of very, very good teams, and that's why no team has 60 wins, and it was like 4 or 5 really good teams and some decent teams, and the last couple teams might stink. No, there's really Cleveland. Okay, even though they're 51-28, they don't have a great record. They're clearly the best team in the Eastern Conference. Okay, they're just on autopilot most of the time. The Celtics, they're good, but I don't see them beating Cleveland, as we saw the other night. The Raptors, I think they've taken a step down from where they were last year. Okay, a lot of it has to do with injuries, especially to Kyle Lowry. I understand that, but I don't think they're as good as they were last year. The Wizards, they're the only team, even though they're 48-31, they're the only team that has any shot, in my opinion, of beating Cleveland. Any shot in the Eastern Conference. That's it. Just a little shot. The Hawks, even though they beat them last night, they don't have a shot. The Bucks suck. My Bulls suck. Okay, they might be on a little run now, but they suck. The Pacers suck. The Heat, they kind of they have been hot as of late, but they've kind of been skidding. The Pistons suck. The Hornets suck. The Knicks super suck. The Magic super duper suck. The Sixers suck, totally. And then you have the Nets, who are just a fucking embarrassment. And decent conferences sucks, man. And it's been like this since the Celtics got old and the Pistons fell off. It's just, there's no competition in the Eastern Conference, man. Not really. You had a couple years where the Pacers was trying to do a little something, man, but it's almost like watching. It's sort of like the Eastern Conference in 1960 with Bill Russell and them, right? I mean, there's no competition really. They go to the finals every year because they're not playing anybody. At least with the Bulls, right, and the Celtics of the 80s, they had some competition. You know what I'm saying? Like, they had other teams that they had to contend with, especially Boston in the 80s. The fact that they went to, how many finals did Boston go to in the 80s? 5? 1980. No, they didn't go to 80. 1981. I'm trying to think. 1981. 1984. 1985. 1986. 1987. I think that's it. They went to 5 finals, but they went to like 4 in a row when they had to contend with other teams that were like really getting good, like the Hawks and the Pistons and the 76ers. They had teams that could beat them. You know what I mean? Not to mention in the finals they played against the Lakers. With the Bulls, they didn't quite have the powerhouse teams to contend with, but they still had competition. They had the Knicks. They had the Miami Heat at one point in time. They had the Pacers one year, who were a really good team, almost beat them. Almost, truly came down the wire in that series. They had the Orlando Magic one year. They had Cleveland in the early to mid-90s. They had teams that could conceivably beat them in a series if Michael Jordan had an all-series, if Scottie Pippen had an all-series. With these teams, LeBron can have an all-series, Kyrie could have an all-series, and Kevin Love could probably have an all-series, and they would still beat them. But, and I'm going to finish this video up with this. I always got to add this too. I've always suspected that at least to an extent, the NBA is rigged. Now, I don't think there's magnets in the basket that get activated and, certain shots go in throughout the duration of a game and certain shots don't. But I have heard and read that to an extent the NBA is scripted. So, because of this, I have a hard time believing that a Boston Celtics or a Washington Wizards are going to the NBA Finals. This is still a business. And I just find it very hard to believe that a team, hope you guys still can hear me. I find it hard to believe that a team like those are going to go to the finals. Now, I can believe that there could be a rough and rugged Eastern Conference Finals, between the Cavaliers and one of these two teams, going down to the wire. I can understand that, but no. I just don't think so. But that's just my opinion. Tell me what you guys think.